Welcome to the Open Forum in the Villages, Florida. In this show, we talk to leaders of clubs and interesting folks who live here in the Villages to get perspectives of what is happening here in the Villages, Florida. We are a listener-supported podcast. There will be shout-outs for supporters in episodes.
This is Mike Roth. And listeners, I'm thrilled to share with you this podcast, which is my passion project for you. This podcast brings you knowledge, inspiration, and a lot of things that people need to know about the villages and the people living here. Be sure to hit the follow button to get the newest episode each week. Creating this podcast is a labor of love, even though it demands more time I can easily spare. Now, here's where you come in. You can help us keep the podcast alive and thriving. How? By becoming a supporter. The easy way for you to support us is to visit our podcast webpage, openforuminthevillagesflorida.com, and click on the supporter button at the top of the page, or the purple supporter box. Even a small donation of $3 to $10 a month makes a big difference, and you can cancel your subscription at any time. Your support means the world to us. Stay curious, stay inspired, and keep those headphones on. I hope everyone enjoys today's show. This is Mike Roth on Open Forum in the Villages, Florida. I'm here today with John Mistler. John, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
John and I met when we were getting ready for an Enrichment Academy trade show.
Sitting at my wee table and you came rolling by?
That's right. I stopped when I noticed that John was carrying a set of bagpipes.
You don't see that every day, do you?
No, you don't see that every day. Did the Enrichment Academy actually have a course in how to play the bagpipes?
And the answer to that is yes. I'm a member of the local Villages bagpipe band called the Sounds of Scotland Pipes and Drums, and I am one of their instructors. We have 3 or 4 guys that'll help people out. And recently, our lead instructor was having some health issues, and he needed to take a little break, and they asked somebody to volunteer, and everybody stepped back and left me standing up. It turned out to be me.
How long have you been playing the bagpipes?
Probably around 1999, 2000 is when I first picked up the practice chanter, which is how you begin to learn to play.
A practice chanter. Tell everyone what that is.
Yeah, it's a small musical instrument that has the same configuration of the actual bagpipe, and you learn to play on that instrument and learn the fingering technique that you will eventually transfer over to the actual Highland bagpipe that play normally.
Okay.
It sounds like it's similar to a recorder young kids play in school.
Is that what you brought?
I brought my practice chanter and an electric bagpipe with me, just in case you want to demonstrate any of the sounds that come out without blowing up the actual instrument.
Sure. Let's hear what the beginner's tool sounds like. Okay.
It's similar to a recorder where you blow into this one and there's a reed inside the instrument, creates a buzz, and you play the notes of the bagpipe. For instance, there's only 9 notes on the instrument of the bagpipe. Only 9 notes.
Demonstrate. Got 10 fingers. So
there's one that doesn't get used. One is ignored.
Okay.
So I'm going to play the scale of the bagpipe right now. And that's what it is. You learn how to hold it, how your fingers work on it. There's a technique that's one traditional way of doing it. Try not to use our fingertips. You use more of the middle parts of your finger. The second joint, which covers the bottom holes on the right-hand holes. The top holes is closer to the fingertips. It's just an interesting technique. Most people pick it up and try playing it with their fingertips, which I guess can be done, but it's not the traditional way of playing it. Your instructor will probably try to break you of that habit, get you back straightening your fingers out a bit.
Okay. I guess that's the way it looks when you...
Yes. It's the way it looks, and there's reasons for it. I was taught that way, and I try to teach students the way I was taught.
How long ago was the bagpipes invented?
Everybody thinks the bagpipes are from Scotland, or they're from Ireland.
That's what I think about them.
They're from Northern Africa, actually.
Northern Africa?
Yeah, back in the days where they were tending the herds of sheep, trying to occupy their time, they played an instrument that had a bag, a blow stick, and a chanter that created the notes, the melody. When the Romans conquered everybody, and then went back into Europe, they carried this instrument with them. Depending on where it went in Europe, it evolved into a slightly different instrument, different areas. Scotland is the one we were used to seeing with the 3 drums that go over the ship.
But the bag of air...
The bag of air is similar in all the instruments.
There are instruments all over Europe with bags of air?
Yeah. There's in the Galicia area of Spain, has a really awesome instrument. I love the way it sounds.
Germany has one?
Of course, Scotland. Yeah, all over the place. They're slightly different looking and slightly different sounding. They have the chanter, the part that makes the melody, keyed differently in different areas, which they liked, however they liked the sound.
Do the other instruments also have the 3 pipes out of the bag?
Not all. The Irish had an instrument they called the war pipe, so it only had 2 drums up over the shoulder, where the Scottish had 3. The other instruments, like Germany has 3, I think, on their drums, and Spain, Galicia, Spain has 3, but they don't lay over your shoulder. They kind of lay across the chest. Just slightly different instruments everywhere.
As a bagpipe player, can you turn the drones on or off, or are they always on?
They're always on if you're playing correctly. The instrument itself has 4 reeds in it that you're playing at the same time. There's one in each one of the drums that go over your shoulder, and there's one that comes out that plays the melody.
And it's always the same note on all the bagpipes for those 3 drones?
The Scottish Highland bagpipe has 2 tenor drums, 2 shorter ones, and 1 bass drum, the long one, has a bass sound. And it should create a chord if they're tuned properly, which also creates a chord with the notes that you're playing out of the chanter. If you hear a well-tuned, good bagpiper, it's really beautiful music. People who hate the bagpipes have probably heard them played out of tune, and maybe by not such a good player. So getting back to the actual instrument, it's one that takes time to learn. For me, everybody's different, but my rule of thumb is for an adult learner, it's about a year to learn to play. So yeah, the average adult learner takes about a year. So you're on this practice instrument. My rule of thumb is if you can memorize 10 tunes that you can play on your practice instrument, then it's time to look into the actual bagpipe, because that's learning all over again. Now you have to balance the thing, fill up the bag with air, blow the appropriate amount of pressure into the bag, and create sound that's pleasant.
So when you finish playing a song, is there a valve that you turn to get the air out of the bag?
We release your arm off of the bag quickly, and the pressure goes away. The reeds stop vibrating.
Ah, okay.
Which is a technique that you need to learn when you're learning to play the pipes.
What's the first song you teach people?
We try to keep things pretty simple. There's one of the tunes in most of the bagpipe books that you'll learn on. It's called Scots Way, which is written by Robbie Burns, I believe. I don't know if he wrote the actual music, but he put the words to it back in the 1700s. So it's a fairly simple song to play, and that's one of the first ones we teach. Then we move on. There's a couple of progressions that you try to do with the pipes where you're learning more and more of the technique of the instrument and the notations. Then we get you on Amazing Grace. Once you can play Amazing Grace, you're hooked. We're going to put you in the lap well because you're going to keep going. Everybody wants to play Amazing Grace.
How many notes are there in Amazing Grace?
I never counted, but there's 9.
If it's more than 9,
it's not on the bagpipe.
So you cut all the songs down to 9 notes.
Basically. And that's one of the challenges of the instrument because it's a very old instrument and the music for the bagpipe is quite old. And what we play today is considered the light music. So sometimes you have to adapt the arrangement to fit the range of the bagpipe. So you may be listening to a tune that you're familiar with and it just doesn't sound like it went to the right note. It might be because you had to drop the octave because we don't have that note on the bagpipe.
There's no way to move up an octave.
No, not on this particular instrument. Now, there are other instruments that are bagpipes. They have keys like a clarinet, and they have a larger range of notes that you can play. But not on this it's a very old, ancient instrument that's played the same way as it was played many years ago, only with newer material that they make the pipes out of in their reeds and things.
You're teaching a course in the Enrichment Academy.
Yes.
This is not the first time you've taught it.
It is for me because I'm fairly new to the band, but I've taught others back in New Jersey where I learned how to play over the years. I had my own group of students that would come and go.
How many players do we have in the bagpipe band here in the Villages?
I think if we have a good turnout, we'll probably get 12 or 13 pipers. Another 8 or so drummers to have the full complement.
And when should someone figure that they're going to need to buy a set of bagpipes?
When you've been practicing on this practice chanter, my rule of thumb is you can play 8 or 10 tunes while you're watching the news and getting distracted. It's time to start on the real instrument, start hunting for the real bagpipes and start learning how to play that thing. Because it's like wrestling an octopus in the beginning because it's just very awkward feeling up on your shoulder. You don't know how to tip your body to keep it from falling off. And blowing hard enough to make the reeds play takes a bit.
And what a set of bagpipes cost?
They do make bagpipes now that are completely made out of plastic, which is called polypenco. You can probably get a set of those in the $900 range. Traditionally, the bagpipes are made of wood, usually African blackwood or maybe cocobolo, which is a very dense, hard wood. Those pipes are probably going to run you anywhere between $1,500 and $2,000, depending on how much ornamentation you put on the pipes. The bling doesn't make them play any better. It just makes them pretty. It's nice to play a pretty set of pipes, but it's the piper that makes them sound great, not the ornamentation that's on the bagpipe.
Do people ever sell them used?
Yes.
Can you find them up on eBay?
Usually when you get a used set of pipes, you have to replace some things like the bag itself, because you don't want whoever's cooties are in that bag to infect you when you start playing them. And maybe the mouthpiece that you push your mouth on, things like that would have to be replaced, which would bring the cost up of a used set of bagpipes closer to it buying new.
Is that mouthpiece replaceable?
I clamp it in my teeth when I'm playing.
Okay.
So I chew through them every now and then, but they can be replaced.
And tell us about the class that you're teaching. How many sessions is it? How long is each session?
The Enrichment Academy helps us with this. They will set up the schedule. We have basically a spring, summer semester, and then a fall and winter semester. The spring semester just started in April. The summer semester starts in July and goes to maybe the 11th of September. It's a nominal fee through the Enrichment Academy. If you're interested in starting, we don't charge anything on our end for somebody who wants to come as a student. We just help them when we can.
So you give them the instrument?
They have to purchase their own equipment.
If they wanted to purchase, what did you call that?
The practice chanter.
The practice chanter.
If you get one that's plastic, polypenco, it's about $100 investment for the chanter book and the reed that goes inside that makes the squeaky noise. It's around a $100 investment. Sometimes you can get a little less than that. Sometimes a little bit more. It depends on what you order.
How much is the course?
It's like $25 for the semester.
And how many times?
We meet once a week.
Once a week.
At the Saddlebrook Rec Center, which is out by the polo fields.
Yeah.
On Thursday nights, the students will come in around 5 o'clock and stay till maybe 6. The band will sit down around the table and start practicing whatever tunes that they're working on, and then pipe up after that, like maybe 6:30. We actually pull out the bagpipes and play the actual instrument.
I'm confused. You said band.
The band.
What's the difference between the band?
The students will come and there'll be one-on-one instruction with the student, and we'll practice whatever tune the pipe major is trying to get us to work on and to learn.
All the members of the band at that segment are going to be using the practice chanter.
Right.
And then everyone in the band, which is all bagpipes.
And there's drummers, but they're usually sitting on their own table working on their own things, like the drum scores.
So that, and then you switch over to, you don't take that very same canter and put it on a bagpipe.
No, it has the same fingering as what's on the actual. It's connected to the bag and the whole 9 yards. And we'll practice together with the pipers and the drummers.
So everyone's got to stand up when you're holding a bagpipe.
Usually. You could play sitting down if you had to. Most people prefer to play standing up because they're trying to run away from the sound.
So it's every week?
Yes.
6 months.
So we're about 1 or 2 weeks into the new semester now. So we'll continue. And I don't think there's any breaks this year. Usually like in between the spring and the summer, there might be a week that we're not out there. But this year seems to be every week goes straight through.
When everyone is practicing together, are you practicing that indoors or outdoors? Really?
Which is quite loud in the rec center.
A lot of echo.
I'm sure the poor lady that works the desk in the lobby will attest to that it's pretty loud.
I'm sure she's getting a noise-canceling headset.
Every now and then she opens the door, comes in and listens.
Oh, yeah?
I keep asking her, what's wrong with you? But yeah, it's usually fun. It's a fun night for everybody.
Good. Let's take a short break and listen to an Alzheimer's tip from Dr. Craig Curtis.
We now know that Alzheimer's disease starts about 20 years before the symptoms, with the buildup of a toxic protein called amyloid. And so scientists have been on a quest to remove amyloid to see how it affects the disease. The medicine that was recently FDA approved to slow down symptoms in people with Alzheimer's disease memory problems works by removing this substance called amyloid out of the brain. And now we're attempting to use those medicines to actually remove amyloid before someone develops symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, such as memory loss and forgetfulness.
So that's in that 20-year period before the disease is obvious?
That's right. Scientists now call it Alzheimer's pathologic change versus Alzheimer's disease. And we're saving the term Alzheimer's disease for when someone is actually experiencing symptoms due to Alzheimer's disease.
With over 20 years of experience studying brain health, Dr. Curtis's goal is to educate the village's community on how to live a longer, healthier life. To learn more, Visit his website, craigcurtismd.com, or call 352-500-5252 to attend a free seminar.
Okay, I'm back with John Mistler, and we're talking about bagpipes. John, if you guys were going to do a bagpipe concert, do you do something like that here in the...
We get asked sometimes by the Villages Entertainment folks to do stuff at the different events on the square, like tree lightings, Heritage Day, St. Patty's Day, of course. We play at the different squares. Every year seems to be a different one. Sometimes we play for the veterans organizations at Veterans Park up in Spanish Springs, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, that sort of thing.
What are the 4 or 5 most famous bagpipe songs that you guys play?
We like to play our military branch tunes and patriotic tunes like God Bless America and America the Beautiful. On the bagpipes, the most recognizable tune is probably Amazing Grace. You play that a lot at funerals, such. And then the other most popular song probably is called Scotland the Brave. It's one everybody has heard before. It used to be the theme for Old Spice. Da 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 da. That's Scotland the Brave.
Okay.
And on St. Patty's Day, we changed that to the Irishman's Toast. We don't want to say anything. It's a Scottish tune that we're playing on St. Patty's Day. That's a joke. Most people are like very cool about all that. But then there are people that don't like the Irish tunes, and there's people that don't like the Scottish tunes. And they'll tell you. The ones that have opinions that are that strong, they'll tell you, don't play that Irish stuff. Okay.
A lot of us don't know the difference.
It all sounds like screaming cats. Don't call the SPCA, cats are being harmed.
When I was in the Rotary in Cincinnati, we had a police appreciation day, and it always started with the Cincinnati Police Force's bagpipe band marching in, playing the pipes, going up on stage, doing a number.
Yeah, nice.
So that was real nice.
There's something about it that makes the hair on my neck stand up. The sound of the pipes, it's inspiring for me.
Okay.
Other people, maybe not so much, but for me, it's inspiring. Years ago, I was a firefighter in Atlantic City, New Jersey. You get transferred around different stations. I got transferred into a station where there was a fella and I was learning to play. He approached me and said, would you like to learn? I said, I've always liked it, never thought about learning it, but I'll give it a go. He started helping me along, and pretty soon, a year later, I was up on the bagpipes actually playing. We had 2 guys on the fire department in Atlantic City that could play the pipes a little bit.
Okay.
So he said, 2 people makes a band. What are we going to call ourselves? He came up with the name Sandpipers because we were on the beach, like the little wee birdie that runs up and down. So we just changed it from one long word to 2 words, Sand and Pipers. We separated. Right. And that band now, they expanded and contracted over the years. We get more and more pipers and guys leave. It was up to 19 or 20 pipers at the time and maybe 10 to 15 drummers when I left New Jersey, and that was 4 years ago. Yeah, we had a very successful group, great guys.
Did women ever learn to play the bagpipes?
Absolutely. I would never discourage a woman because women usually have very great dexterity in their fingers, and some of the best pipers in the world are female pipers. So yeah, I would never discourage a lady from picking it up. Now, it does take a bit of physical effort to hold it, balance it, squeeze it, the pressure, blow the air into it. It does take some physical effort. But it's not something that you can't be accomplished if you're a female. Just practice.
So here at the Villages, are there any female pipers?
Yes, we have a couple. One was with us, and then she left recently. We have another that's a snowbird that comes back and forth. Lori, I think her name is. So she's a female piper. I used to play with a band down in Mount Dora that has a couple very good female pipers in the band. So,
are there any local or national band competitions in bagpiping?
Funny you asked that. When I was going down to play with the band in Mount Dora, and the reason was they had a competition group, and they would enter local competitions in Florida, sometimes outside the state, maybe like in Georgia. And they've gotten to be pretty good. The last competition they entered, this year they've been having a good year. They've been coming in first place a lot in the grade level that they compete in. And band competitions, there's grade levels from 5 up to 1, 5 being the least accomplished, grade 1 being the most accomplished.
Okay, yeah.
There's a band down in Dunedin that was grade 1/grade 2. They go back and forth between the top levels. They're fantastic players, and they got young kids that go to school there in Dunedin that play the pipes. A feeder program that feeds into the big band. They were always tough competition, these kids. You walk in and there's like 12-year-old kid ripping through these tunes, and it sounds terrific. But they got young fingers and empty sponges for a brain, I like to say. My sponge is pretty full.
It's true that children learn faster.
They do it. When I was in New Jersey, I got a phone call from the mother of a youngster that was interested in learning to play. He was about 12 years old at the time. This was around Christmas. She told me that her son had been teaching himself how to play the bagpipes since the summer. And that's usually not such a good thing because you pick up bad habits and it's hard to break a habit. I told her to bring him in and I'd be happy to help him out. This young fella comes walking in, handsome young boy with a cap on with a little badge on the side. He couldn't look any more Scottish, but he was Italian. His last name was Votta, V-O-T-T-A. And I say to him, do you have your practice chanter? Let's see how you're doing. I'd like to listen to you and see if I can help you. And he said, I do, but I can't find my reed that goes in the thing. And I'm thinking, 12-year-old kid. But he came in with a big case. What's in the case? He said, my bagpipes. I said, you already got your bagpipes? He goes, yeah. Can you play them? He says, yeah. Okay, let's see what you got. Take them out, put them together. He fired up and started playing some songs. My jaw hit the floor. His musicality was right on the money. He was just a natural. The only thing he didn't do is there's traditional ways of playing some of the embellishments on her instrument. He was making up his embellishments because he heard it on the recording somewhere that sounded similar. So I said, listen, I just got to take you back to the beginning to show you the traditional way to do these embellishments. And this kid has just taken off. We would come back every week to practice. Not only had he learned what I showed him the week before, and then some. So we'd be circled up playing a tune as a group on the pipes and drums, and somebody would be playing harmony to the song. And it's the kid. I finally said to him, listen, Joe, I got to find you another instructor, a high-level instructor, because you've got a huge upside. I'm just going to ruin you if I keep working with you. So I found him a fellow in the north of New Jersey who played with a band called Scottish Power, a world-class band. This guy took Joe and got him going into competitions, and every competition he would enter, he would win first place. Now he's competing at grade 1, the top level.
Wow.
He's like 25 now. He's like a real stud.
How much does a set of bagpipes weigh?
I never put mine on the scale. I'd have to say 4 or 5 pounds, maybe.
These 3 pipes are held together with rope.
It's called a cord. They're held together so they stay in a specific position so that when they're in tune, it creates a umbrella of sound that you're trying to achieve if they're tuned correctly.
And the bagpipers own more than one bagpipe.
I do, but not everyone. I bought a second set not long ago, our pipe major, only because I need mine to be repaired for some reason. It goes off to the shop. I'd have something to play as a backup, but I haven't really played them that often. To be honest with you, they've been sitting in the...
There's such a thing as a bagpipe repair shop.
Yeah, there's pipe makers, believe it or not. When I was living in New Jersey, there was a fella in Tom's River was a bagpipe maker, and he was also a silversmith for Tiffany. So he did all the fancy bling that's on the pipes and stuff like that. I went and saw him and ordered my pipes through him. He has now relocated to South Carolina. So if my pipes need repair, they're going to go to South Carolina.
So when someone joins, they have to buy a uniform?
Yeah, that's many of the bands up north, the bigger bands, will supply a lot of the uniforms. Sounds of Scotland will supply some of the uniform parts, like your shirt, the socks you wear. It's called hose, but the kilt itself is your own. So they decide to leave the band. You don't have to chase them down for their kilt.
And the bling that people wear in the band, is that band specific, or is that each guy or lady in the band picks out their own bling?
If you're in a band, you want to look uniform with all the other players. Now, there are days like St. Paddy's Day that people wear beads and fun stuff. But as a rule, we try to keep everybody looking the same, to look like a unit.
What's the most unusual song you've played on the bagpipe?
I've played Pachelbel's Canon in D, working on an Ozzy Osbourne set with a Crazy Train and a couple other tunes. Songs, obviously. There is a traditional music for the bagpipe. It's called pibroch. It means great music. It was written many years ago, usually as a way of communicating with a clan. They wrote songs about battles or somebody's passing, like a lament. It's like a meditation. For me, it's not really melodic. It's like a series of notes. Most people don't care for it. Pipers do, oddly enough.
Can people actually learn how to play the pipes on YouTube?
I don't see why not. It depends on how much time you put in. It's all about your practice time. If you can do 15 to 20 minutes a day, every day, you'll get it.
So you brought along the electric. Does that have a sound that people can hear? Yeah. You actually have to plug it into earphones.
I have earphones for it because I'm practicing on my own, but I also have a little wee remote speaker that I can plug into the thing. Just have it in my pocket. That was Scotland the Brave.
You don't have to blow into that electronic one.
That's what's great about this thing, because you can practice all day long and you never get stupid lip.
Play the same thing on the air one. We actually have to blow into it.
Yes.
That's a fantastic little toy.
And it comes with a metronome built in, so if you're practicing, you can listen to the click and get your timing down.
And there's no air on that.
No, it's just all electric. This particular one is made in Germany.
So it's got two sensors on the back side. Is that the same as the two holes on the back side of the canter?
There's only one hole on that one. The second sensor on the back is the on-off switch. So that's why I can flip it on, flip it off quick.
Okay.
But other than that, it's set up the same fingering spacing idea as on the actual instrument.
Okay, let's see what the actual instrument would do with it.
Okay.
Don't know if we'll put them into the final recording.
Any requests? You want to hear a particular tune?
Frank Sinatra's New York.
I don't have that one.
Don't have that
No,
one.
Amazing Grace. I mean,
Amazing
everybody
Grace
knows
is good.
Amazing
Everyone
Grace.
wants to hear that.
Those notes that are in the music, I'm not just playing melody. Some of them are like bubbly sounding. Those are called embellishments. And that's some of the technique that you need to learn as you grow in your education of playing the actual instrument.
So, John, if someone wants to learn more about your course and get a hold of you, how do they do that?
The easiest way to get a hold of me personally is via my email.
And
It would be JMIST, first four letters of my last name, 100@comcast.net.
hey, thanks for joining us today.
Mike, it was my pleasure. Thank you.
Great.
Remember, our next episode will be released next Friday at 9 a.m. Should you want to become a major supporter of the show or have questions, please contact us at mike@rothvoice.com. This is a shout out for supporters: Tweak Coleman, Ed Williams, Dwayne Romich, Paul Sorgen, and Dr. Craig Curtis at K2 in the Villages. We will be hearing more from Dr. Curtis with short Alzheimer's tips each week. If you know someone who should be on the show, contact us at mike@rothvoice.com. The way our show grows is with your help. Text your friends about this show if you enjoyed listening, or just tell your friends about the show. We thank everyone for listening to the show. The content of the show is copyrighted by Roth Voice 2025. All rights reserved.